All right, welcome back to Nope. How's the levels? Good?
Well, you need to speak so I can figure it.
Oh, you need to speak so I can get it. You need to speak. That's how we're starting this week's episode. Welcome back to another Life with Lenoci podcast episode as I fuck with the mic and that pisses off Mark. It's week 8. We're 7-1, guys. That's the record. Good to be back. Was on the road for a little bit. And this week, I'm going to be on the road again doing different dates. If you're watching this episode, I have Irvine Improv tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Irvine Improv, 8 p.m. That's Orange County, Southern California. Be there, be square, or circle. What does that even mean? Be there or be square? What's be there or be square? Have you ever heard that?
Well, be square what used to be like the derogatory, like, oh man, he's such a square.
No. We know that, but it's like be there or be square.
You're either there or you're uncool.
Square. Okay, cool. Well, that's what that means. So be there or be square. And we got the improv, and I'm bringing some young bucks with me. Young bucks with me, and then Maddie Chimber. Here's what I did, and I don't care if I'm being blatantly honest about this, but I like to I like having younger comedians around me because I realize that they remind me a little bit of myself. When I was starting out in comedy, I had some older comics tell me that they liked the exciting, big-eyed comic energy that made you. They still had hope in their eyes, right? And now here I am coming in on 12 years of comedy. I'm like, oh, like there's nothing that gets you excited in comedy anymore. And you need these young guys around you who are like asking questions and they're excited to do shows. Whereas for me and most of my peers and people who've done comedy longer are just kind of like going through the motions and just like, whatever, this is a job. So that's why I have some of these young guys coming on with me, and I'm excited about that. And that's just a reminder for why we do this, because it's fun. It's fun, and it should always be fun. And I had a fun time in Austin, and this episode's gonna be fun, and I want everyone to know that. And that's where the music fades out. Yes, I love the directing that we do. Yes, and I don't get mad because he does it right when I ask every week. Every week. He has one job, and that's all he has to do. Here's the deal. In my latest vlog, I did, it was called Stand Up 101, and I did a spot at the Haha, and a couple of the guys that are doing my Irvine show are there, and they're green. They're green. And green is another way of saying comics are
fresh or new,
which
or
is another
unseasoned.
term of, yes. They're not killers yet. That's what it is. Although everyone thinks they kill at whatever point in life they are in stand-up. That's true. I just had a young guy, not a young guy. He's got to be in his 30s, but I knew this guy in college, and he was a fraternity brother, and I don't really talk to him. We're friends on Facebook or something, but over the years, maybe like, I don't know what the text messages were. I could go look and read, but I don't have any history with him besides this first text I got last week. And he texted me a set of him. He goes, "Hey, my first time on stage. Tell me what you think." And there's 4 minutes, 5 minutes. And I remember seeing it, but I was in Austin, so I was busy and I didn't get to look at it. And then I forgot about it, and thank God I remembered, because otherwise I would have crushed his soul, because apparently, like, he obviously, is looking to me for feedback. But based off of what I know about him, he's I don't know where he lives, I don't know what he does, but he's got to be in his mid-30s, because if I'm gonna be 38, he's got to be at least 35 or 36, because we are college fraternity brothers, right? So within 4 or 3 years. So he texted me, and I watched it, and I gave him feedback, and of course it's not gonna be good. Like nobody was ever
rough around the edges.
Yes, and I don't know if he watches my podcast. So in the case that he does, don't take this the wrong way. This is not mean. It's just it's not good, obviously. But you're asking for my feedback from, a guy who's been doing this a long time, but also you're asking I would argue that I'm one of the most blunt comedians out there. I one of my weaknesses and strengths is I speak my mind, okay? And that's on stage and off of stage. And that hurts me because I offend people off stage and hurt their feelings and seem like a dick. And that helps me on stage because it's shocking and it can be very funny when it hits, but it also can not hit and make a room weird. But I can find a way to recover. It took me years to figure out how to make it fun, though. And I don't think I'll ever get weird on stage. That aside, he hits me up and there's really nothing. There's no even. I want to break down this clip because it's like, it's his first time. But I want to bring up the fact that he is 35. So first of all, when someone asks for advice as a comic, you're looking at me like you're bored out of your mind. You're the one who wants to work in the comedy world, Mark. Mark. Hold on. Mark, how was your week?
No, you can go on your tangent. It's fine.
Mark, it seems like you're not interested.
No. Go on your tangent. We'll catch up after.
But okay, we'll catch up after. I know that a lot of people watch this and the comment section is very active. It's been getting active and we're getting views and it's fun. I have a comment response from last week that I have to talk about this week because I ask every week if you guys are watching, comment and let me know what you want to talk about, and I will bring that into the next week's episode for the time being, unless, of course, there's 1,000 one day. Then that will be crazy, but then we'll all obviously have a show that we are sticking to. That's why it blew up. And again, I saw someone subscribe to my Patreon. I think it's Jules Craft, I believe, one of my loyal fans. Again, when we get to 10 subscribers on Patreon, we will start doing the additional one. So bear with me there because that is just like, it's extra work that we would have to do. And we discussed that we don't think it would be valuable or worth it for us to do until we had at least 10. So if you are there and you're holding on, I appreciate that, and it does mean a lot to me. And obviously I will see that you have been there for a few months if we don't get to 10, and maybe I can mail you merchandise, which I do have. I have these idiot hoodies, which I've now on my second order because they were a hit. So
wait, you sold all of them?
Oh yeah, like that.
Wait,
I never told you that?
You ordered 70.
79.
79.
I didn't tell you that they were a hit?
You had nothing.
Oh,
because you brought it, you
that.
brought it in
Yeah.
to like the second to last episode of Village Idiots.
Mm-hmm.
And we literally stopped the show 2 weeks later.
And then I had all these, and then all of a sudden I did the road and everybody loved them. And I was like, oh, well, then I'm just going to keep making these with no context whatsoever. People want a hoodie that says idiot on it.
Fantastic.
So I'm
Does
like,
it compete against the Loosey Gooseys?
The Loosey Gooseys, well, they both, those sell too. I think people just want a hoodie from a comic. They both, when we were doing Chris's shows, we both were just selling out of hoodies. It's just crazy. So I think it's just his fan base loves hoodies. But then even when I did my own shows, like I'm bringing 15 with me to Irvine on Thursday. So if you're watching this, I'm bringing only 15. No, I'm bringing 20. I have like 20 because I'm like, listen, I don't know how many tickets I've sold for Irvine. I'm not asking. I'm just going to show up. So anyways, backtracking before we get to you, this guy, I like to know when someone asks advice. First of all, if it's someone I don't know or what they're doing, I want to know, like, what's your goal? Like, if you're 22, you got your whole life ahead of you. That's awesome. When you're 35, I'm like, okay, so is this a hobby? That's what I want to know already. Because you're 35 and this is your first time on stage. So is this a hobby? Or is this like you're having, we're talking about midlife crisis almost, like you just want to you want to pursue this professionally? Oh, because I need to know these things before I really give feedback. But if I don't know these things and it's through text, I'm going to give my feedback that I gave. And I could go into why I want to know those things, because it's like, if it's for a hobby, then I need to know how much effort I need to put back into the feedback, because it's like, just have fun then, right? And then like watch comedy as you please because you're a fan of it, and then you have fun and you try stuff. But you know, if you want to pursue it, I'm already going to be like, all right, you got to get up 25 times a week for 5 years. At least 15 times a week for 5 years. That's what I did. I did 10 to 15 open mics for 5 years.
How did you get that many slots?
I would go everywhere in LA.
So you're doing like 3 or 4 a night?
Sometimes. Some
Wow.
2 to 3. But everyone who was good. And you would see the people around, and then you would make friends with them. Like you had to get up at least 10 times a week for sure.
What are you up to right now?
What am I up to right now?
Yeah, how many do you do a week?
I don't do open mics.
Oh, just I mean
Shows?
slots. Yeah.
Maybe like 4 or 5. I mean, sometimes only 3. You know what I mean? But like, I have my routine. I have my bits. Like, I know what I'm doing. Like, for me, I'm just polishing. Would I like to get up more? Yes. But like, when there's sometimes I get up 10 times in a week, and I'm like, that's great. And that's 10 shows. And but I know I have my system. But when you're starting out, you need to get the confidence to be able to sit up there in silence, to where you don't give a fuck anymore. And then you got to learn like your routine. Like, what's a routine? When you first start out, you're just trying jokes and you're like, cool, I got 4 jokes. You'll watch a young guy go up. He's like 4 jokes and none of them go together. And that's a style that you can make work maybe. Like but like even Jesselnick, it flows. Everything it's a routine. It's like a concert. You have to have a routine. So I said to him, I go, well, that's cool you tried. No?
I mean, I get you're blunt, but that's like in
No, this is all one paragraph. I said,
okay.
I meant it like, well, that's cool you tried. Well, that's cool you tried. I go, I guess you have to ask yourself if you had fun. And then I go, then when you want to talk about something on stage, ask yourself why you think it's funny and if it's worth talking about. Because he asked, he goes, give me feedback and improving. That's great feedback. You think I'm being mean now?
Oh no. So here's the thing. If I took a meeting with a writer or director,
Yeah.
and I led with that, I would never be working with them again. Their agent would blister me.
Well, but that's a professional person. This is a guy who's went on stage for his first time, and he goes, my first stand-up last night, not the best I know, but wanted to get your feedback on improving. So
how about try the compliment sandwich where you can say, hey, like, congratulations on getting the courage to get up there and do 5 minutes.
Now you're making me second guess.
Then you get into, if you led with what you said, that is a dick.
In writing, but let me see how it is. It's ready. It's like, well, that's cool. You tried. I guess you need.
That is such the most backhanded, like.
Fuck, man, really?
I'm 100% being serious.
I guess you have to, but like, what about this part? I guess you have to ask yourself if you had fun, because that's one thing. You have to have fun.
Okay, but lead with what you said. That's cool. You tried.
Right,
Did you have? I hope you had fun doing it. Like, ask yourself, did you have fun doing it? Like, you could construe that as.
All right, so I'm gonna write right now. Let's fix this. Let's fix this right now.
Super cool, 100%.
Okay, so let's fix this right now. I'm gonna be like. Also, I'm gonna write now. Also, because I'm gonna be also been thinking. Just if you want to go up again, just remind yourself that I'm gonna have a blast, right? Something like that.
No. You need to lead. With something positive. And the positive is he did
something. Bro, he's a man.
But it doesn't matter.
This is dick? I thought it was being nice.
It's super dick.
Oh, no. See, sometimes I make mistakes. I thought this was good feedback.
No.
So you think he's reading this like, oh, this guy's a dick.
The feedback is good, but you gotta cushion the blow. Otherwise, he's just like, why the fuck did I reach out to this guy? Like everybody wants the honest criticism, but you got to give them room to improve and realize, yes, I can do better.
This is what I'm writing now. The hardest thing is getting up on stage.
You made it past the first hurdle. Now it's
I said
about
you did that.
I
go, you did that. Now think of a few things you actually think are funny, and
no.
Ask yourself
when you put in actually.
Okay, sorry.
You're dunking on him.
Okay, now think of a few things you think are funny, and ask yourself why. Then kind of head in that direction to find a joke.
Yeah. So again, if I was given the note, I'd say the beginning, what you said, and then I'd say, what you should be looking for is framing your jokes.
All right, this is what I'm going to do. I go, think of a few things you think are funny and ask yourself why. This is a good way to start framing jokes. The courage to get up is very hard, so feel proud of yourself.
And then don't let my comments dissuade you from doing it again.
No, I'm not doing that.
Okay, but
I just sent that part. I just sent the second part.
Sure.
Maybe he'll text back. Hey,
we got bubbles.
no, I'm gonna be like, hope that helps. Hope that helps. And then this guy has red receipts on his thing.
Already read?
Yeah, both of them.
Okay. You would get no one would work with you.
Well, I don't care.
Here's the thing, like I was known for being super blunt, but then at the same time, like you've gotta cushion the blow. You've got to do the compliment sandwich.
Yeah, well, that's why I don't want to be in that business. So,
Fair.
you know, if I'm going to, but to be honest, if I'm ever working with writers and stuff, it's my show probably. So they'll get used to it. Because otherwise
you'll be in the writer's room until
I'll never do that. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like I'll never, if someone's like, you want to be in a writer's room? I'm like, no, I don't want to work 40 hours a week. That's why I do stand up. So if I am around writers, it's because I finally am in a place that I have an idea where I'm like, I don't like this.
Fair enough.
So
hilarious.
Wow, I know.
Hilarious.
Well,
bubbles yet?
I said, hope that helps. No, not yet.
But it's red.
What if he just sent?
But it's red.
Yes. What if he just sent a picture of him hanging from a ceiling fan? And I was like, fuck.
Wait, when did you send the first message?
A long time ago.
At
12:30 p.m.
So yeah, he probably was like.
So he sat on that message for 8 hours.
He's probably been like sitting in his tidy whities with the noose around his neck, ready to just hang himself. And
well, listen, man, if you want to be in this business or if you want to do this professionally and seriously, you got to be able to take all the constructive criticism. Now, if you were doing it as a hobby, I feel a little bad.
But do you think he was coming to you as an industry professional or as like a friend, frat brother, or whatever?
He actually, a friend of mine reached out and told him he was like he's a big fan of what you're doing, and we were friends, and he was always thinking about trying stand up. This was maybe 3-4 years ago, and we talked on the phone. And we went back and forth, and he was asking me questions, and then I never heard from him again. And then so 4 years later, he tried. So it's like already, it's like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, but maybe the pandemic, got in the way, but still. So, but the reason I ask is when someone does ask for advice. Oh, he just texts back.
What do you say?
Okay, so he goes, but this is good, man. I mean, this is good. He goes, yeah, man, I appreciate that. I never thought I'd actually do it, and then I was like, fuck it. It'll make me better one way or another. Balls to do it or not to. LOL. But yeah, just need to work on more of a punchline ending to things. Need to write things down and not just try to fly off the cuff. So I don't think it doesn't seem like he was worried, or maybe, but I got a response. The first one he didn't.
The first one didn't get a response.
So maybe he thought I was a dick.
100%.
Mark, really?
100%.
So what is that? Is that am I on the spectrum or something? How am I not picking up on this?
You know what they call it?
Do I not
those
care?
People who like don't understand the feelings of others, those are called sociopaths.
But I'm not a sociopath. Like,
Have
you know what I
been
mean?
Tested?
How do you get tested? Let's do it right now. I'm not a sociopath because I like animals.
Yeah.
I'm not. I just, maybe I need to get better at framing.
Oh, you're just gonna steal my
framing things, right? Like I don't know, because maybe I do this. Do I do this with Haley a lot? Do I, am I too blunt with her if she's like, hey, how do I look? And I'm like, not good. Should I not say that? I'm kidding. I don't ever say that. Listen, one thing you learn with women is they are so sensitive, man. It's just like, okay, we got another one. A server I managed is a stand-up comedian, and her husband is pretty famous. I just don't know his last name. She said she knows a few people you toured with. She's the one I went to watch and ended up doing an open mic at the end. A server I managed is a stand-up comedian, and her husband is pretty famous.
But I don't know his last name.
Well, I mean, he can't be that famous if his wife is a server. Right? That's, you know what I mean? You're not letting your wife become a server if you're doing well. There's just no way in hell. But, I mean, I would like to know who he is. I'm going to say, oh, cool, find out. And then I'm like, I'll cool, find out who. As long as you're having fun, man. As long as you're having fun.
Oh, you're growing.
Life's too short. No, that was getting gay.
Yeah.
That's gay.
Yeah.
Life's too short to not have fun. As long as you're having fun. All of a sudden, I'm like crying.
Yeah.
Okay, we got off track a little bit. What was I talking? So that being said, now I'm bringing these young guys, and I booked my Irvine show, and I'm bringing Anthony. Anthony's this young guy. He's like 3 years in, and he's getting better, and he's working on stuff, and I'm starting to give him a little bit more feedback. I was never giving him feedback in the beginning. Anthony Storetti, his name is. You could look him up, and I didn't want to give him feedback in the beginning because I was just like, there's no point. You just got to go, and you got to like put in the work and just figure it out. And then, if I start watching someone do a routine, I might critique it. And I started to a little bit. So I have him on there, and, I think he's a good guy, and I think he has the work ethic there. He's in an interesting situation because everybody's coming up is always different with, what side jobs they have and how much time they have to do stuff. Some people have real jobs. Some people have server jobs.
Is he still at the Ha?
Yes, and that's what I did.
Because you remember, like, the whole reason we got linked up was through his Chicken Parmcast.
Oh yeah. Wow, I owe him for that. Thank you. I owe him for a lot of the poorly put out content I put out for the last
year and change
until this podcast. Until this podcast, the takeover beginning years, looking back, were pretty rusty. But we've both grown from it. So
true.
You don't like that. Now,
no.
Mark's gotten way here. Let me sandwich it with a compliment.
All right, here we go.
Mark's gotten really good at his part with video and editing, and he's grown as a producer. But in the beginning, man, it was awful.
That's fine.
I
mean, it was. We had a shitty room. I was literally having to
Bro,
rant
you
stuff.
don't have to give me excuses. We're both growing. I'm not the best podcaster. That's why nothing's popping. You start to realize podcasting is a skill set too. Like I was talking about that with Chris. He's like, Tim Dillon is a unbelievably great podcaster. It's not even about stand-up comedy. Like some guys are just really good at podcasting. Like he's like, what he talks about, the way he talks about things, it's just like that's a thing. Whereas we're just emotional. Hey, what is life? Whatever. Who knows? We're just throwing shit at a wall and hoping that we have content that can blow up. But anyways, Anthony's coming, so there's that. Yes, he's still at the Ha, which is an interesting way to start up. A lot of people start as a server or a door guy. There's doormen, door guys at the store. There's door guys and maybe servers at the Improv, or they're just door guys. So, and that's a way to come in, and Ha has it. But sometimes you get stuck, and then you're only getting up at that club, and you're not doing enough open mics. So it's all very complicated. So then there's this other guy, and I always, his name's Brian. I forget his last name. He was in the vlog too. And he's he's got this Craig energy. Like he smiles. He's very likable. He's funny naturally, just telling stories. You're like, this guy's hilarious. He's been doing comedy maybe 4 months.
Is he a big guy with a beard?
Yes.
Okay, no, I like Brian.
Have you seen him?
Yeah.
Where did you meet him?
Dante's place.
Did he go up?
I've seen him perform once at one of my shows.
Where you're like, this guy's funny, even without his material being funny.
I'll say this.
Yeah.
So he wasn't funny that show we did, but that show was absolutely garbage. Horrible.
But
audience.
could you see his energy?
Yes.
He's got,
No.
There's something.
There's something there.
There's something there.
He's got a charisma.
He's got a charisma where I was like, oh, very, I hadn't seen that since I literally, Craig will tell you, my first time seeing Craig, I was probably 3-4 years in. I was like, bro, you're just like a funny fucking idiot. This guy's another funny fucking idiot, and I need Craig to meet him so that I could be like, bro, this is what I saw. So I see that in this kid. I go, yo, you're gonna come do 5 minutes on my improv show, and then Leo's gonna host it. And
Batavio?
Leo, yes, and he big guy hair. So now I'm like, as the show's going on, I'm having these guys, and then I'm like, I need someone to open the fucking show. You know what I mean? I need someone to open. I need someone to kill. So I was like, fuck. So I asked a couple guys, and then I was like, oh, fucking Maddie. I need Maddie to go.
So Maddie's going to be an opener?
Maddie's gonna feature it. Yeah, because
Oh,
I
he's gonna
have
feature.
like
Who's your opener?
I'm gonna have Leo host.
Yeah, Leo's a
That's
great host.
fine.
He's a great host.
And then I'm gonna have Anthony and the other kid do guest hosts, but like I need someone to really get them going. I was like, I totally forgot about that. And as much as I don't want to necessarily I want to give these guys more time. I have to put on a good show. I can't go up and just have like ha ha ha's. You know what I mean? So, and that's no shot at the younger guys. This is just like what goes into a part of putting together a good show too. You want to help guys, but I can't. I'm trying to help 3 young guys that don't have professional stage time. A lot of it, yes. Which is like when I was in Austin. This goes back to I was in Austin this week. Last week we did I did a show at Vulcan Gas Company, and we did a Michael Lenoci and Friends show, and I showcased a bunch of comics on it, like Derek Hassan, Joe Marisi, and Anthony came out, and he cold opened the show, and he had a great set. It was the best set I've ever seen him have, to be honest, as a cold open, and it was a great time. Austin overall was a great. It was a great. Like I could be a big fish in a small pond there. I realized that. Like I was able to do. I got up 1, 2, 3. I did 3 shows, but I could have done like 5 if I bounced around more. I got to go to Joe Rogan's show, hang out with them. That was cool. Just to be like, wow, they don't have a lot of mid-level guys there. They just have like Joe, Tony, and then just a bunch of younger open mic comics, and then maybe like Derek Poston and Hassan Ahmed. But Austin is like, it's definitely like, I want to go back for like a month. I liked it a lot, and I hadn't been there since the whole everything changed.
Really?
Yeah, and I
love Austin.
I was like, yo, if I just off that trip, did you just do this? Oh, because of Texas. You went to Texas. If I wasn't with Haley, I'm there. I literally was just like, oh, I could go.
Were we having the argument like a few weeks ago that like Austin was going to be the new mecca of comedy and it just didn't materialize?
It's not going to be the mecca. You can't compete with New York and LA.
100%.
But it will be the 3rd best market.
But was it us that were having that conversation?
Maybe not. I don't remember because
there was a bunch of people that moved out there, like Derek, Hassan.
Yes.
Who else is out there?
My buddy Joe Marisi.
Oh, Joe Marisi's out there now?
Yeah.
When did he move out there?
Maybe like 4 months ago.
Oh, so it was like right after we had
But here's the thing. It is a good spot to move first, depending on what you need. Like I was thinking, at certain levels, like if you're a touring comic, it's great because you're 2.5 hours from every state, right? Makes sense. You sell out. But then I'm like looking at it like, if I went there, I'm like I think I'm on so many shows.
You're on a bunch of shows, but remember, like there is a ceiling there that you cannot get.
But I also would start working with some of the bigger guys there probably because that's who I'd be hanging out with. Also, Joe's Club opens in like September, October. That's going to be a cool spot to be working out at, which you would assume I'd be able to work out 3-4 times a week there. You know what I mean? Whereas I fight for this time here in LA with all these clubs, and it's still political and it's still a little woke, but not woke. The thing I will say about Austin is there's a lot of comics there I feel like are so anti-woke that they are deliberately trying to do material that is so taboo. Rather than it naturally come up, like if I naturally like earlier on the podcast,
pandering.
Yes, they're pandering a little bit because they feel like they have to overcompensate for what LA is, and that's cool too. But I feel like like I said, gay on the podcast earlier, like that's just naturally talking. I'm not offending anyone. I'm not trying to say it. Whereas like I'm like, this week we're going to talk about transgenders. That would be different, right? So, but I do think it is a good spot. I think number 1 is New York. Number 2 is LA. Number 3 would probably be Chicago, Vegas 4, and then 5 would Boston.
Really?
Boston's got 5, 6, 7 are all close. Then you have Boston. So you have, what did I say was 3? Chicago, 4.
You said Chicago, LA.
No, well, number 1 is
New York, LA,
Chicago. Chicago, and then you got to put, Austin. Will be.
You put Austin in the 4 slot.
It will. I would say by the end of the year, that Austin's top 5.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Everyone's always known that the top 3 are L.A., Chicago, New York, Boston is top 5. But then you have Vegas, different type of scene, but a lot of stage time. But that scene's always going to be there. And if you're older, it works for you too. None of those other scenes really work for older people besides maybe a little bit of LA, a little bit of New York, but more Vegas. And then San Francisco has a scene.
Not what about New Orleans?
I've never heard of that scene.
No.
San Francisco has a scene, right? You've always heard about San Francisco. Not sure how it is post-pandemic.
Bay Area comedians.
Yes. So there is that. And then there is a San Diego scene that's cropped a lot of great comics. So, I mean, if we had to do 10 in no particular order, LA, New York, Chicago, Austin, Boston, San Fran, Vegas, San Diego.
Then are you going to go
do what I have to do at DC?
Cruises?
DC.
Yeah, I'd go with DC.
I don't know, but I've never even heard of DC.
What about is there anything Florida, Miami?
There's a Florida scene, but there's nobody talking about it.
Yeah.
And like even there's a scene in every city.
Utah?
There's a scene in every city. You could say the Salt Lake. Yeah. There's a scene in every city, but I think that you would have to say there's an 8.
There's 8.
There's 8
cities.
There's 8 for sure. Yeah. I would say there's 8. And
wait, did you name Detroit?
I didn't. But I've never heard of I know comics from all these big cities, but where I've gone and dropped in and like listen, I bounced around in Boston. I've bounced around in New York. I've bounced around in Vegas. I've bounced around in San Francisco. I've bounced around in San Diego. I've bounced around in Austin. I've bounced around in Chicago and in LA. So that's why I'm saying those. Those are the only. I did bounce around in Seattle one time too. But that was years ago. So if I had to add a 9, now I'm going with Seattle. And then maybe you could say, but those are the only ones where I've done more than one show that wasn't mine, or I wasn't opening for someone where I'm like, oh, can I get on this show? Where I was able to get on a show from hitting up a comic that knew a comic or something like that. I think that was good. I don't. What do we call it this week? What do we call this week's episode?
Hope.
Stand up 101.
Stand up 101 or notes from a professional.
I don't know.
Or are we going to put professional in quotes?
Yeah, you could do that. We got to make fun. We can't think of that. Just a couple things. Again, if you're watching this, Irvine Improv tomorrow. Next week, the following week, June 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in Reno. Maddie's coming with me there. I got the guy to pay for his flight and pay him some shows. So Reno, Reno, Tahoe area. There's 3 shows. It's on my website, the ticket links. I don't know where these shows are. I don't know how they'll be. I don't expect there to be a lot of people in any of these shows, because when the guy hit me up, he was like, what's your market like in Reno? I go, Reno? What's anyone's draw in Reno unless you're famous? I'll try my best. I don't know how many people live there. If you are there, come to the shows. We'll see you there. And then I think I'll have San Diego again later in the summer. But thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, and leave a 5-star review if you're on Apple Pod or Spotify. And we appreciate you guys watching, and keep watching all the vlogs as well. And we will see you next week. Bye.